Well, it's another Thursday and it's nice and cold.
Where do you live in?
Well, today we're living in a hotel in South Dakota.
Oh, it
We're
is
at an
cold.
archery shoot, and this weekend's supposed to be 20 below zero.
Wow.
And we don't have remote start to warm the car up when we come out of the hotel. So we got to sit in there and get cold for a while till they get warm. So where are you from, Jerry?
I'm in Arizona.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's in the mid 70s today.
Oh,
So
I feel so bad for you today.
it's like freezing to us.
Well, it's zero here in South Dakota right now. But anyway, what today we're going to talk about is, again, about FOC, front of center. And we all know we had a promotion here a while ago, and we sent out a bunch of different arrows and bad boys to different people to try that got on our website and ordered them. And the reviews are kind of blowing our minds away in that they like what they do. Having that added sleeve over the shaft of that arrow just magnifies what the arrows can do and what they're supposed to do. When they do hit an animal, they want to make sure that they, it's a good hit. It's a good, as deep as possibly can, because you don't want the animals to suffer. You want it to go down quickly, and it makes it a lot easier for us because it doesn't go so far, maybe down a deep canyon or something like that. Then our work's cut out for us. So we want to make sure it's got a good, clean kill. On FOC, front of center. So as it slides, and I'll use this small, we got this little jig that we use to check all of our spaces on our bad boys. As it goes on your arrow, it just increases that front to where this part of the arrow, so 4 inches of the front, your broadhead's here on the end, it magnifies and intensifies the strength of that arrow so that you're not going to have the breakage. If the breakage is going to happen, it's going to happen down into here after it's still going through the animal. Now, you can't help it if an arrow breaks in the center of the cavity, because as he runs, it's going to twist, it's going to break. That's what happens. But what the bad boy will do is increase that momentum, penetration, and the accuracy. So it makes it more accurate. This last fall, we had the opportunity to hunt with various people. I personally guided 3, and they were all successful. The bad boys performed exactly like they were supposed to. Then we also had one that we used the Pro Tracker system. It's a recovery system to help you find it, that leaves a transmitter with the animal, and you can use a receiver to go find him. That is the same way we've developed this bad boy, is that it elevates it and lifts it up on your arrow, but it also increases momentum penetration because you're adding more weight with the way we build it. That's why we built these. The success with the Pro Tracker system made us think, wow, if we use this, we could even magnify more and have it more available, because for $44, $45 with tax, I guess, you can get a set of 3 of these that will increase all 3, the momentum, penetration, and accuracy. Now I'm going to show you a couple of videos. So bear with me just a little bit. I'm going to go to.
I'm going to ask a quick question while you're doing that.
Sure.
I'm just curious,
Sure, go ahead.
do you change the weight of the broadhead when you put those on?
You can, but not necessarily have to. What weight do you generally use?
I am just getting into bow hunting, so I haven't bought any yet. So.
Okay. They generally come 100 or 70, 75, 85, depending on the brands, 100, 125s. And then if you get into the double bladed broadheads, they can always go up into more weight. That's why they're using the heavier broadheads, is because they can get the momentum and penetration. We've just made it an easier way so that you're not having to keep changing arrows. A lot of people think that, once you start to build an arrow and you spent that money and time and you break that arrow, then that's nullified. These are economic, they're not that much money. They're interchangeable. You can put it on any arrow. You can use any broadhead. Now, to answer your question a little bit more in depth, I would probably you're probably shooting what, mule deer, elk, and javelina down there in Arizona.
Right.
Right. 100 or 125 would be perfect. In fact, we just got some new 125s in that I was a go-to guy with my 150s, but I like the 125s because of how dialed they are in on accuracy, but they are sweet. They are sweet. So I would probably use either a 100 or 125. You don't need to go any heavier. You already got, if you use the bad boy, you can increase that weight 100, 125, 150 on up. So I wouldn't say go up into a heavier broadhead.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you a little bit about what the bad boys will do. And this is called, this is our plywood one. And it's a demonstration on what the bad boys will do. I'm going to be shooting a regular arrow, and I'll also be shooting different weights. Now we're using a bow machine. Can you see that video?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Jerry. That first arrow is a regular arrow. So it's just got a 100 grain fill tip. This is a 100 grain bad boy on the arrow. Now that goes all the way through. So you've got more penetration into that wooden background. Now this next one is a 125. We kind of got ahead on that little video. Watch this 125 go through. And at the bottom, at the end, you'll be able to see 3 arrows. And you'll see that one's a little bit deeper than the other. Now this will be a 150. Watch the 150. It'll go through faster, deeper. Now look at the fletches and the nocks on the end. You can see this last one on the 150, how much deeper it is. Okay. Oh yeah. So
those all had the bad boys on them, right?
They did, except the very first arrow. And that's the one that didn't go in all the way into the plywood. Now I'm going to show you a video of an elk hunt. And this was Jason. He's out of Boise area in Idaho. And I guide him on an elk hunt. And there was a nice big cow coming down. And he says, I'm going to take this cow. Now watch this arrow and what it does. Coming up. You can see at the end here, watch the slow motion to the right-hand side. Right there. There the arrow's coming out the other side. It hit the rib bone on the left side, broke it, went through the cavity, all the way into the other side, and come out 15 feet. Complete pass-through. That's with that added weight. If you shot a regular arrow, is a possibility? Absolutely. But this is intensifies more of what this arrow will do by having the FOC, the added weight, behind that broadhead. Now I'm going to show you one more. And what this one is how accurate the bad boys are. Now this video will show different weights, 100, 125, 150, even a 200 grains and the regular arrow. And they're in a circle about like that. Watch this. All right, they're all shot, and that's me pulling them out. Okay, that's the 125. That is the 200. So that's 200 grains. And they're all shooting in the same spot. That's your regular arrow with no weight on it. And this last one, that's the 100. So all arrows shooting in the same spot, because the way we've designed it, that it stays up on the rest and elevates it. That's how it works. So it holds it up, elevates it, so that compensates for that drop automatically.
Gotcha. Okay. That was my question about range. And
pardon?
That was going to be my question about range. Do you have to aim differently? But you're saying that you
know, like anything, Jerry, if you should, practice. Right. But the way they've been designed, like the 100 is, say, the size of my pinky. The 125 is my ring finger, and the bird finger is a little bit bigger, 150. So they go on up. And when that happens, it raises it 100 here, the 125 a little higher, the 150 higher up on that rest to help compensate for that weight. So the bigger round in diameter, they're made out of aircraft aluminum, which is a 7075. If you ever break one or have a problem with one, replace them free of charge, but you won't break them. You won't break them. But it just magnifies that at front of that arrow. When an arrow goes into an animal, if it hits a rib bone, if it doesn't have enough oomph, and that's momentum of its weight, it will sometimes deflect. And when it hits, it'll deflect and turn. All that energy is dissipated over in a bigger area, so you're not going to get the penetration. With the bad boy, especially with the sleeve that protects the core of that front of the arrow, it'll hit that bone and it won't deviate as far. It might just be a little bit, but still you've got that forward momentum. That's why on that video with the elk, went through the one rib bone, went through the cavity, hit the other rib bone, and come out 15 feet on the other side of the elk.
How far did that animal go, that elk?
That elk went 25 yards.
Oh, really?
I mean, it just pounded her. And I mean, it was there was blood everywhere. But what it did was a good, clean, ethical kill. And the animal didn't suffer. And yeah, it didn't waste any game. The biggest problem that people have is, everybody wants to try to do an ethical shot. I was watching videos over the weekend, and it was, there was hunting shows, and they would shoot and hit. They hit an elk, they hit 2 deer, and they didn't get the penetration, and those arrows were just flopping around. They just didn't get the ump inside, which they needed. And that's the problem with archery equipment. If you don't get the right, everything work out together, and we've tried to enhance that by having our product, just carry that arrow deeper in and do what it's intended to do. The broadhead's supposed to cut, the arrow's supposed to drive it, but you got to have weight to keep it driving forward into that animal.
How does that bad boy stay on the end? Does it slide up and down, or does it?
No, it doesn't, Jerry. That's a good question. What it does is on the end where you've got your insert, it just locks down inside. I'll just get my screen because it clicks. Hear that little click? It stops. There's a collar here on the end. You just screw your broadhead in, then it holds it in tight on your arrow. It won't move. So it stays with the arrow at all times. Now, you don't have to have speed. It's kind of like, you've heard the analogy, a bowling ball and tennis ball rolling down a driveway. Which one's easier to stop?
Tennis ball.
That's exactly right, because it's lighter, but the bowling ball is heavier. It will just keep driving. And possibly, it's just the way, physics are.
Sure.
The weight will just keep driving it forward. And, we try to pride ourselves in the product we built, and we've done lots and lots of testing. And we've done testing on, we've shot hogs, antelope, buffalo, elk, turkeys, hogs. In fact, we got a video of Mike shooting a hog with our ProTracker system. It does the same thing. It's the added weight that helps that penetration to where you can find and recover that animal. Now, we've had, last week, we had 3 or 4 different questions that people would send in. And one of the questions was from Nicole in California. She says, can I use the bad boys and why I should for a woman? And that was an excellent question. You don't have to have the speed. A woman or even a slider in stature of a guy or even a youth, they don't have the strength to pull that bow back, but you still have the momentum, which is back to the bowling ball and the tennis ball. When you add weight behind that broadhead, it will penetrate and go farther in for more of an ethical kill.
So this is better than just adding a heavier broadhead, because you're strengthening that shaft at the end.
Exactly, Jerry. That's a very good question, and a very good way to explain that. If you think about it, and we've seen this happen, is right behind the insert on the end of your arrow. If it hits and deflects, they break right there. This actually intensifies and strengthens 4 inches of the front of that arrow so it doesn't twist and break, because when they hit a bone, they'll break right behind the broadhead.
Now, are these marked? Is these marked how heavy they are?
They are. on each one of them is a laser. Like the green ones are 150. They'll have 150 grain on them. So each one is laser, so you know what weight. They come in colors from 100 all the way up, or they come in black. So you can depend on what you want. In fact, one of my questions was, and that was from Wade in Hawaii. He says, "Hey, do they come in black?" And he also asked, people don't understand, I guess. He didn't ask this, but in Hawaii, they do a lot of bow hunting. They do a lot of hunting there, but that they come in different colors, so that we kind of look at them with different colors, so we kind of have an idea what they weigh.
Yeah,
some people want black, so they're black like the mat of their arrows and match more with their bows, but they do come in different colors. Another question, Drew from Illinois, he wanted to know, how do they work on bigger game? Because he hunts in Africa. So we shoot a lot of elk out west here, just like you do in Arizona. And with those elk, you've got to have, a little more oomph to them. And when you can magnify, doesn't matter what weight, you're on your draw weight is, you still can have that same momentum and go through. Now, Jason, when he shot a 55-pound bow, and he had no problems. Complete pass through because of the weight. So when you go to Africa, you got those bigger game. You got kudu, you got eland, warthogs. I mean, all the way up even to water buffalo. And they come in, believe it or not, we got 150s, 200, 250s, and even 300 grains if you want to shoot those bigger animals over there. Wow. So you can just magnify your arsenal. In Africa, you have to have so much weight per arrow on grain weight before they'll let you hunt those big animals. That's just kind of the rules. And then our last one is Tyler. And Tyler wanted to know, when you hunt, are these legal in all states? And absolutely. There's some states they're on your broadheads, they can only cut so many inches. On expandable, they can only cut so many inches, and some companies are making them bigger and bigger. These are legal in all states and in all countries. And they're easy to use, and you'd be just tickled to death if you ever shot these. But, Pro Tracker, a lot of things are going on in the United States right now. Hunting season's coming up. Right now it's winter time. I can't wait. I drew out on a turkey hunt, and I actually use my 100s on turkeys. Do I need to? Not necessarily, but I want a good, quick hit on that and kill it, and I don't want to chase it too far.
Yeah.
And but I can't wait to go hunting on turkeys. And then we also got our draws. Now, they already got the draws in for your elk and stuff down in Arizona. That's already passed, hasn't it?
Just this last Tuesday was the last day for elk.
Here in Utah, ours ends in about, I think we got a month, I believe, to put in. But you can still put in for mule deer down in Arizona, I believe, right now. Isn't that right? It's just the elk that's shut off.
Well, I'm thinking archery. Like I said, I haven't gone archery hunting here, but I think that you don't have to get drawn for archery.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Jerry, is get, I'm just going to ask you, give me your address. I'm going to send you a set of bad boys. I want
you don't need to, because I got a free set already.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm going to ask you a question because you're on my list, Jerry. Have you got them yet?
No, I haven't. I've never built an arrow. So now I'm going to have to take them down and have put the fletchings on and do all of that. So I'm got that on my calendar to do this next week. So
okay. All right. If you got any question, give me a call, but give us a review on those arrows and then those bad boys, because when you put your review in, you're actually going into another pool. And this gives you another opportunity for something that we've got a promotion coming up, that the people who are drawn, it's not just one person. We're going to have probably up to 4. They'll have this opportunity that's going to be a lot of fun for you. And it'll be fun for me.
Okay, great.
So,
I'm just getting plugged in, so I appreciate you guys offering this, Gary, and showing me some of the product. And so it'll motivate me to get out there and get this done now. I got through the holidays, I got through a fishing trip, I got through some other things, so now I've got time to just concentrate on this.
all right. Well, get them fletched, shoot them. If you got a question, give me a call. And I just appreciate you being on here today, Jerry.
It was good. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.